Oh, well, there we go.
There. Okay. All right. So we have about 2 more minutes, and I'll allow you to let some people in before we begin with our presentation.
Sounds good.
Mhm.
Yeah, letting people in.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for muting your phones or your muting your lines as you come in. Happy Saturday to everybody. We're waiting for a few more to come in before we begin. When it's not quite 10 o'clock, so we would like to give everybody an opportunity to join us and to be able to hear everything from the beginning. Okay, it is 10 a.m. So good morning to all, and we will get started. Welcome to our Legacy Program Financial Literacy class. Today you are in for a treat. We have two young ladies who have over 39 years of banking experience. But before I tell you a little bit more about their experience, let me talk a little bit about our Legacy Program. We do a class every quarter. This is our last class for 2024. So thank you and welcome all of you who have decided to join us. And I'm just going to ask for a little bit of interaction. If this is your first class with us, put a 1 in the chat. If this is your first class with us, if you've been with us before, put a 2 in the chat. We want some interaction. And as we're preparing for next year and the classes that we will have, we want to make sure that these classes are geared toward things that you want to learn about. Of course, our legacy program is geared toward financial literacy. That's our goal, to improve financial literacy in our community and to build healthy financial habits. So if you have been with us before, put a 2 in the chat. If you've been with us the first time, put a 1 in the chat. And it looks like most of you have been with us before. So thank you for joining us again. Continue to follow us, continue to learn, because again, our goal is to teach financial literacy and to build healthy financial habits within our community. So this morning we have Miss Yvonne Middleton and Miss Theresa McDuffie. And again, as I've mentioned, they have over 39 years of banking experience. They have extensive knowledge in bank account setup, account management, and customer service. Their knowledge includes experience as business owners. Yvonne and Theresa's goal is to empower the community with knowledge that will help them make sound banking decisions. So the first person we're going to hear from this morning is Miss Yvonne Middleton.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Can y'all see me?
Good morning.
Can y'all see me?
If you can see her, put a 1 in the chat, please. If you can see her, put a 1 in the chat.
Okay, awesome. So,
yes.
Good morning to everyone, of course. As she said, I am Yvonne, and we are going to talk a little bit about who is at risk for experiencing bank fraud. And before we try to answer, a lot of times we think it's them, it's not us, it's the old people, it's the other people. No, we are all at risk at experiencing bank fraud. Let me tell you why. Even though we think older people, because they don't have the means of technology that we do, we have technology, but if we are not careful, we can very well be experience the same thing. So let's look at it this way, as if you're an older person and somebody calls you on the phone for the most part, they might chat with them, just not knowing, who they're speaking with per se. But before I get that far, just want you to know it's not them, it's all of us. We are all susceptible to bank fraud. So, next slide, please. Okay, so what could we do? What are some of the things that we can do to try to minimize bank fraud? Let me ask a question. How often do you guys check your bank statements? And we're going to be interactive today. So, how often do you check your bank statements? How often do you check your accounts? Is a better question. So, let's see where we at with that. Let's see. Okay, so while y'all
Someone says daily.
okay, all the time.
Okay.
Okay, so those are great answers. And let me tell you why. If there is something going on sideways with your account, you definitely want to be able to address it immediately. So most people said quite often, daily, and that is definitely the right answer because we ourselves, if we're not staying on top of our finances, nobody else will. So awesome answer. Be sure to check your accounts on a consistent basis. Don't wait for that statement to come out 30 days and then you look on, and some people don't even look at their bank statements. So I'm glad that y'all are the folks that actually look at the bank statements and see what's on there. Also, you're checking it daily, if not daily, a few times a week. What else can we do? Create strong passwords. One thing we don't want to do is have like simple passwords that anybody can pretty much figure out. People used to use like their, last four of their social, birthday, years, and that kind of thing. We want to stay away from those. We want to create strong passwords, putting special characters in there, uppercase, lowercase, a mixture of things that it'll be nearly impossible for somebody to figure it out. So when you're thinking about what kind of password I'm going to use, just don't use something general. Use something that it'll be nearly impossible for other folks to try to figure out. Use biometrics and or multi-factor authentication. That I always get twisted up with that word, but y'all know what I mean. So, and what that means is pretty much don't just have one little way you need to sign to your account. For the most part, a lot of places saying, hey, we can have two layers here. We'll send you a text on your phone to confirm, yes, that is you trying to get into your account. Because I can tell y'all a personal situation that happened with me, and I almost dropped the ball. Somebody was trying to change my password and I was like, wait a minute. When I went out there and look, I'm like, so I had to actually call and get all this stuff figured out. But where it didn't happen for them, they were not able to do the, y'all know that word, multi-factor authentication. They were not able to do that. That is the only reason. But had I had them just able to do one thing, they would bypass. So be sure to let that be one of the things that you are very intentional about doing when you set up passwords. Also, look out for imposter scams. Y'all all know if we use big companies like Walmart, Sam's, all these different places, they will send you a email or whatever, and they'll make you think it's them telling you want a gift card, the yada yada yada. But let me be clear: what they're trying to do is get you to click on that link. If you ever click on that link and it's the fraudster, guess what? They have taken over your whole phone. They have all your information for your banking information, all this kind of stuff. So be sure not to click on any links. If it's not something you're familiar with, do not click on links. And they'll really try to pretend they're other people. I've had a situation where people will not call me, but call people and they'll make them think that they're somebody that they're not. And the sad thing of it is, and I know y'all are familiar with this artificial intelligence is scary. So we need to be really, really, really intentional and make sure of who we're talking to when we're speaking to whoever. And for the most part, if you didn't initiate the call, That's the first red flag. The very first red flags, if I didn't initiate the call, let me think twice about even entertaining the conversation. And sometimes we get in such a hurry sometimes, and we just, go for it. Just talk, 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 talk. Or in the holiday times, sometimes we might let our guards down because we're so busy to doing yada, yada, yada. And we might inadvertently click on something that we shouldn't. So even though it's holiday seasons are coming up, slow down, take a chance. I mean, take time to make sure that we are being intentional, not clicking links that we shouldn't be clicking, not entertaining phone calls that doesn't sound right. If it's anything business related, for the most part, you're the person initiating the phone call. If somebody calls you and say, "Oh, we're not on Social Security on here. I don't think not yet," but that's one of the ones they get people with really, really bad. Is they'll call some of the seniors and they'll say, "We're calling from Social Security. We're calling for Medicaid, the yada yada yada." Hang up. If it's when you're ready for whatever that thing is, rather it be Social Security or Medicare or whatever, you pick up the phone and you call those folks. You know, okay, the number I am calling, I am reaching out to the right set of people. So, am I making sense so far? Am I making sense so far? Or I'm over here talking like a crazy lady. I'm gonna need y'all to put one in the chat if you can relate to anything that I'm saying. Please put one in the chat, because y'all, we are living in a quite interesting world, to say the least. Quite interesting world, to say the least. And if we're not intentional about what it is we should and need to be doing, we don't want to be one of the people that get gotten. So just be really, really careful. Now, this is the big one. People will send folks checks in the mail. Y'all, please be careful of this. If somebody sends you a check in the mail, you know good and well you didn't work for it, nothing to that degree. But they said, "Oh, you won a prize, but you must send them some money to get the prize." Y'all, I'm here to tell you, there are folks that fall for the okey doke. Please don't be one of those people. If I have to send you something to get my prize, keep it. I mean, this right here is getting to be one that's pretty bad. And you would think that we should know better, but I think some cases people think, "Oh, Merry Christmas to me. The Lord done blessed me with this money. I'm going to cash this check." The yada, yada, yada. No, it don't work like that. If you didn't work for it, you don't know where it came from. 99.9% of the time, it is a fraudulent check. Tear that check up and throw it away. Now, calling a bank calling you. So the only time in the run of a normal day, the bank is not calling you. The bank is not calling you at all. Let me be mindful. The bank is not calling you. The only time you may very well get a phone call, and it might be from the fraud department, is they're wanting you to, your card has been flagged for something, and they're just wanting you to say, "Hey, did you purchase the yada, yada, yada?" And you say yes or no. They're not going to ask you what your card number is. They're not going to ask you none of that. So that is the only time. That's not in the bank representative. That is the fraud department. Now, if you're working with a bank, you're trying to obtain a loan, or you're working with a situation and you're expecting a call because you're conversing back and forth about whatever, that's different. But just the bank randomly calling you, that doesn't happen. Now, be mindful of giving your debit card to anybody. Okay, it doesn't matter who it is, just be careful. Giving people your debit card to make any kind of purchase. Because guess what? Once you give that information, they have your information. They may not have the card, but they can write those numbers down. The only thing you need to have is the numbers on the front of the card. You have the expiration date and that code on the back, and people can run amok with your information, not having the card in their hand. So be careful. Be careful with that. And also, most banks and financial institutions, they have where it's something called card controls, and you can use it on your credit card or your debit card, where when you're not using the card, you can pretty much cut the card off. And that helps to eliminate, or at least help with the bank fraud on your debit card. And what happens is you pretty much get a notification that, oh, your card is trying to be used. And at that point, if you know it's something you're not doing, instead of you having to go through all this rigmarole, because what happens when you have fraud on your card? Now you got to go to the bank, you got to dispute it, yada, yada, yada. It's not like the bank's going to say, here, all your money back at one time. No, you have to go through the process. It takes most of the time a couple of days. And if you're a person where your account is running close, and here it is now, you have to wait to get your money back. Guess what? Now it's a domino effect. You had that light bill, that phone bill, whatever that's set up on automatic draft, and now your things are bouncing or you having issues because you're trying to deal with this debit card fraud situation. So please try to protect yourself as much as you can with that debit card. If you're not using it, just cut it off. And even though it's a pain in the butt, I keep mine off. And it's been a time or two I get up to register, y'all. I'm ready to pay. I fling my thing. And it says decline. Then I got to get on my phone and cut it back on. 20 seconds, we're done, right? So it might take you a couple of seconds, but guess what? That little bit of time is worth you not having to go through all the bank fraud situation. And anyway, that is my tea. Do y'all have any questions or comments about anything that I've said? And like I said, it's the holidays. Just be very, very careful. Um, don't get in a hurry. Still be intentional about what you're doing. And money don't drop out the sky, y'all. Folks just ain't gonna give you nothing. If you didn't work for it, don't fall for the okie doke. Any questions or comments before we move on to Miss Teresa?
I do have something just to throw out there for us, for some advice, based on, you mentioned about the, checking your accounts and making sure how you're very careful with creating your passwords. How often would you suggest that you change or update your passwords? Because I know in the corporate world, a lot of times, like we at work, we have to change passwords every quarter or every, something like that. How often would you suggest, with our own personal bank accounts, that we change passwords or update them?
I would suggest at least twice a year. I would definitely suggest at least twice a year. And if not twice, at least once.
Okay.
And sometimes we're lazy and we want to have, and I was guilty of this, but I kind of got away from it. We want to have one password we use for everything. And that may not be a good idea. If something was to somehow get hacked, and only thing they needed was to have one of your passwords to go all across the board to get into everything you have, that might cause havoc. So maybe not have the same exact password for everything that you do. And even if you have something that's close to it, maybe have a special character that's different on the end, a different number on the end versus having all of my stuff is linked to the same one password. Something to think about.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any questions in the chat. I do have a comment, great tips, well delivered. So thank you so much so far, Miss Yvonne. Any other questions before we move on to our next speaker? So, and again, you're welcome to put questions in the chat. So are there any other questions before we move on to our next speaker? Okay, if not, we have Miss Teresa McDuffie coming up, and she's going to give us some additional great tips as well. So welcome, Miss Teresa.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining us today. I commend each and every one of you for wanting to know more about how to avoid bank fraud, because it really is a major issue that we need to know as much as we can about it so that we can help protect ourselves. So I wanted to first start off with some statistics in regards to fraud. According to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, 2.6 million consumers made a fraud report in 2023. $10 billion were reported in losses. That's billion dollars. And that was up 1 billion from 2022. The top scams were imposter scams. And Yvonne touched on that a little bit about people calling you and claiming to be somebody that they're not. Could be somebody from a business, it could be a family member, or them claiming to be a family member. So those are the imposter scams. That was $2.7 billion in losses. So this is not a little bit of money. This is in the billions. And this is why we have to be extra vigilant and guarding our money and looking out for fraudulent situations. So the top payment losses were bank transfers. That was $1.8 billion in losses. And I want to tell you, this is why with Yvonne saying to check our account, look at our statements to see what's going on. That is the best way in order to help avoid the fraud, because like she said, you're able to catch things. And not always your credit union or your bank is going to catch this. I can tell you that I had a situation working at the credit union where our department did wires. Whenever it was a certain dollar amount wire, we would have to call the person to verify the wire verbally. Basically, and then the person would have to send in, like their driver's license, what they want, how much they want for the wire. And then they would have to sign that letter and they would have to get their signatures notarized. Well, I called, I verified this person. And to me, I got a gut feeling that something wasn't right. The name didn't, the voice didn't match the name, if you know what I mean. And I just did a little bit more research. The driver's license looked real, but it wasn't a real South Carolina driver's license. So did a few more research. We actually looked for the phone numbers to see if the person called previously, found a different, number and called the real member. And come to find out, it was a fraudulent situation. But it was because of the gut feeling that I had that I was able to dig a little bit more in that situation to determine that situation wasn't right. That didn't make sense. So not always is that going to happen, especially with a lot of the bigger banks. They're not going to have people sitting there, looking at your account and, managing it in that way. So it's up to you to really check your account, see what's going on, make sure everything looks right. And especially those accounts that you don't use often. I know some of us have accounts where we're just saving, we don't really make any transactions out of it. Those are the ones that are more susceptible because you're not looking at it and you're not really using it. So what they do is they'll take a little bit out, nothing happens. They'll take a little bit more out and they'll just go up and up, making withdrawals out of your accounts. So Yvonne was correct in making sure that you look at your statements. If you have online banking, check it every day, check it as often as you can in order to help avoid and catch any kind of fraudulent situations happening. Cryptocurrency had $1.4 billion in fraud, and wire transfers, $343 million in losses. And one of the ways is the example that I gave you, where somebody is portraying to be you and they're requesting wires out of your account. And what you have to understand is there are people out there where it's their job to commit fraud, and they're looking for ways, technology in order to help them do that. So when they call the financial institution, it'll look like your phone number. They'll have all of your information. They'll have your name, they'll have your address, they'll have your date of birth, your social security number, who's on your account. They will have everything, and they will request money from your account. They're getting better and better at it because that's all that they do. It's their job to commit fraud. So we just have to be, like I said, vigilant, and just make sure that we put some measures in place that Yvonne mentioned earlier, and just check our accounts to make sure that we're not experiencing any fraudulent situations. So also, there were about 358,000 reports of scams initiated via emails, which is now the highest method of contact for scanners. So this is another reason, like Yvonne said, that we don't need to be clicking on any kind of links. And basically, these types of emails that you get, they'll say that your account has been locked, your account is about to be closed. They'll create an urgency where you have to do something. You have to click on a link. You have to verify your information in order to avoid what it is that they're saying is going to happen. And these are almost always fraudulent situations. If you have any questions, just call your bank directly. If you don't feel comfortable with any calls that you get, call your bank or your credit union directly and just talk to them, just so you can verify everything is okay. The next thing was $1.4 billion lost via social media scams. And that's a big one. I know, a lot of people, they do, transactions and everything through all kinds of social media platforms, but there's a lot of scams out there through those platforms. So we definitely need to be careful in what we're doing through social media as well. So here are some tips to help you with any online banking that you do. So first of all, you want to definitely avoid using public Wi-Fi for your online banking. And this is just like if you go to a restaurant or wherever you go, you're using a wireless type of technology in order to access the internet, basically. So you want to be careful of doing that, really, for anything, not just for online banking. You want to make sure that you use trusted websites for secure transactions and to avoid website spoofing. What's website spoofing? Well, that's a scam where the fraudster creates a fake website that closely resembles a trusted site or brand. And you might see a lot of this during the holidays. I mean, it could be any time of the year, but during the holidays, these might pop up even more. And I'm curious if anyone could respond, has anyone ever had an encounter with a fake website? If you have, please respond in the chat, because I really want to know what businesses out there that you're encountering that potentially have fake websites. So if anyone has experienced that, I heard Best Buy. Anyone else? Okay, so just be careful of the fake websites. And the way you can kind of spot those websites is they'll have a misspelling in their URL. So as you can see in the PowerPoint there, Target is spelled incorrectly. And that, I mean, these are things that can easily be missed. Like, we think we can get it, but sometimes our mind is, it's got a million things going on in it, and we don't notice that that is an I instead of a T, instead of an E. So we definitely want to be careful in looking at these URLs to make sure that they look accurate. Also, you want to look for the HTTPS in the search bar to confirm that the site has a secure connection. So this example that I have in the PowerPoint, it doesn't have the S behind the HTTP. So this is another tip that this is not a secure site. And basically what it does by having that, it encrypts the data that's sent between your web browser and the website. So that's what the HTTPS does. Also, you want to look for inconsistencies in the site logo. As you can see, the logo that I have on the PowerPoint, it has an I instead of an E. The wording may be a little off, the colors, the design of it, just the overall content and how it looks. Everything may be off, so you definitely want to make sure that you pay attention and you look out for these things. And I'm going to stop here. Did we have any questions?
We had a comment that,
Okay.
I get fake invoices emailed to me a few times a week.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's a good one. That's a good one. And that's right. I think I've had a couple too. They were through PayPal. I think they were fake PayPal invoices. And another thing that could be a tip is that if you definitely don't use the company, like you don't have a PayPal account, why are you getting this? That can be another tip as to, being fraudulent.
Mhm.
But something that I wanted to say, Teresa, before you wanted to go back to the bank wire transfer, and just need people to understand that once you send that wire transfer, it's gone. You cannot recoup that money. So another way these fraudsters do is they'll send these people a check and have them to deposit a check, or they'll tell these people, okay, wire me X amount of money, and then next thing you know, the money is gone. And there have been times that, no, I'll tell people, no, we're not going to send this. No, this is not real. You're going to lose your money. So I have literally told people, no, we're not going to do this. You may send the wire, but it's not going to be by me. This,
Right.
you're going to lose your money. So as much as we can, we try to protect people, but there are sometimes they really feel like somehow magically they're going to win some money or whatever and literally give money away. And I mean, it's disheartening, but you can try to protect people, but in some cases, they just want to do what they do. And also, Zelle, be careful with Zelle. If you ever click on the wrong person and you send them the money, guess what? It's gone. You don't get to say, oops, I sent the wrong person, get your money back. No. So just be very careful about sending anything that's a bank transfer or wire transfer or Zelle. That's gone. If you made a mistake, it's Merry Christmas, whoever you sent it to. And it's been a time or two, maybe somebody is honest. Oh, you must be hit the wrong person and send back whatever. But 99% of the time, that's not going to happen. People say Merry Christmas to me, thank you, and keep it moving. So just wanted to interject that.
Those are good points. Good points. Did we have any other questions or comments?
I don't have anything else in here, except somebody mentioned Target. I think that was one of those companies they were talking about that had a possible fake website.
Okay. And I want to just, Yvonne brought up wonderful points, and just know that you're not always going to have a Yvonne and a Teresa to protect you from fraud. A lot of these banks, they're so big and, they have so much people that they just don't have the manpower or, the ability to monitor your account and tell you that you shouldn't do something because it looks fraudulent. Like some people are just working, they're just making money, and they're not going to do what Yvonne does. They're not going to have gut feelings, like we have if something's fraudulent. And so that's why, what she does is not ordinary. It's wonderful. It is wonderful that she does that. It is extremely helpful because people need to know that, but it doesn't always happen. So that's why you definitely have to take it, upon yourself to help yourself as much as you can when it comes to avoiding fraud. So what I have up on the screen now is an example of a fraudulent email. So basically, this first image you have here is the email that I got. It's from Coinbase, and it's telling me something about they're required by regulations to keep my information up to date. And they're asking me to click on this button down here to confirm my information. So the second image, basically, the way you can try to determine if something's fraudulent, just the body of this email, ticks me that it's something that could be fraudulent. You know why? Because I don't deal with Coinbase. And Coinbase has to do with crypto, buying and selling cryptocurrency. So I don't have anything to do with this company. I don't buy, I don't sell cryptocurrency. So that's red flag number one. Red flag number two is if you look at the top here, it says details, and then over to the left, it says Coinbase. If you click on that, you'll see the actual email that comes up. And as you can see, it has nothing in that email about Coinbase. It has Staples. So this is when you click on this, this will give you the actual person or company or whoever that's sending you the email. So although they have Coinbase all over this email, somebody from Staples.com is sending this. Staples.com support. So that is one way that you can, these are a couple ways that you can determine if it's fraud or not. But this email just doesn't make any sense at all. So of course, I deleted this email. Now, here's an example of an email that is definitely considered, that looks legitimate. So I've gone to a seminar at Increasing Hope, which is the nonprofit that's off of Rivers Avenue. They do great work. I filled out some information while I was there, so I know they have my email address. And when you click on their name up here, you can see that it actually has the creator's name and the name of the nonprofit in the email, showing where it came from. So everything points to this email being a legitimate email. But like we said, if you have any doubts, if you do not feel comfortable about anything, just if you know you haven't had any business with the company, then definitely just disregard those emails. But if you do have business, if it is your bank or your credit union that's sending you an email, definitely don't respond, don't click on anything like Yvonne said, just call your bank and confirm everything that you need to do with them. Any questions?
I'm checking the chat. No, I don't see any questions in the chat, but I do have a comment because I don't get so much emails like that. I've gotten a few fraudulent emails, which I could spot they were fraudulent, but I get a lot of them with text that says, "Hey, are you available to work? You can start right away." So, of course, I mean, first of all, you don't even know what type of work I'm capable of doing. So how are you offering me a job via text or email? So, some things are just so blatantly obvious that, you know, and what I do, I don't just delete them, I block it, I go and I block the
Yes.
sender, to make sure they're not able to, send me information again, but, you know, those are like signals and red flags to me that I need to go into, some of my accounts and maybe change a password or something, that somehow
Yes.
my information may be on the dark web, and I need to go ahead and change my password, and for some of the accounts, because, I mean, nobody randomly sends you, oh, I have a job for you, you're available to start any day, you can start. I mean, who gets hired by just a text? You haven't seen me, you haven't met me, you don't know what I'm capable of doing, you know, so it's, yeah, it's
Yes.
yeah, it's obvious.
That from the FTC website, that is one of the top scams that are out there. Job emails.
Yeah.
And you're right. Definitely block the sender, report it as spam, do whatever you need to do in order to feel comfortable with your information. But that's a good point. That's one of the top scams that are out there as well.
Mhm.
And you know, these people, your information is just, it's out there. So all they need is a little bit in order to send you what they need to send you. So all right. So I have a few helpful links here that we're going to add these links in the chat for you. Basically, the consumer at ftc.gov, you can report fraud and identity theft at this website. The donotcall.gov, that's been around for a little while. That website will allow you to report unwanted calls from telemarketers and register your phone number on the National Do Not Call Registry. And for those who have credit unions, the ncua.gov has lots of information in regards to fraud prevention, and how to protect yourself. So definitely go under there so you can get more information and more tips and how to protect yourself there. If you have a bank, the FDIC also has information and resources in how to protect yourself. So you can definitely get lots of information from those sites.
Okay.
So that is all the information that we have for you, and we hope that that was helpful. And what we wanted to do is we want to hear from you. If anyone has had any type of fraudulent situation, whether it was banking or otherwise, we want you to share that if you feel comfortable, because it helps us to know what's out there and what's going on. So if anyone wants to come off mute and just tell us about your fraudulent situation, or if anyone wants to put it in the chat, please go ahead and do that. Feel free to do that now.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tanya Governor. I had an incident that happened. You know how when you need your computer fixed or your internet, something is wrong with it, where they ask you to share your screen, where that is a fraud also, because the guy was just so persistent in me trying to share my screen, and that was a red flag also. So just be careful on that as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is an awesome one. That's
Mhm.
Yeah.
an awesome one.
And
And
then
that one would catch you off guard because you're thinking that they're helping you, but no, it could be a fraudulent situation.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Wow, it's amazing.
Anyone else?
Well, I had a situation several months, well, it was earlier this year with Coinbase, like you said. I do have cryptocurrency, so I have Coinbase sent me a text and they were like, oh, somebody's trying to take your cryptocurrency. So they said, well, just call this number so we can make sure that we keep you protected. So, and again, it looked legitimate. It had the Coinbase logo. So I called and, you know, I was talking to the guy and then he was like, oh yeah, we need to protect your um, your, um, your assets, and we want to make sure nobody gets to your, and he started listing out some of these cryptocurrencies. So where he screwed up was he mentioned something that I didn't purchase, that I didn't have any of it. So I'm like, okay, I know this isn't right. So he's like, well, call me back. So I told him, I said, well, I couldn't call you because I was in a school. So I'm like, well, I can't call you because I can't speak right now because I'm in school. And so when I hung up from him, I stepped outside and I immediately called Coinbase Services themselves. So, and then I realized, of course, after speaking with them, that really wasn't, the Coinbase company that I called me, that it was a fraudulent person. They were trying to get me to, connect with them, give them a number so that they could get my cryptocurrency. And, I wasn't giving that up because I'm telling you, after this election, I'm getting ready to make some money off Trump and Doge. If y'all don't have Coinbase cryptocurrency, get yourself some Doge. I may not have voted for him, but I'm gonna make some money off of him. So
I'm with you. I'm agreement to that.
get some cryptocurrency, get some Tesla. Between him and Elon Musk, I'm gonna make some money off of them.
Mm.
But I digress. So let me just leave that alone. But that was my
So
yes, sir.
also, Miss Sib, a few
Yeah.
months ago, I
Mhm.
received something from my insurance company, and it was an email.
Mhm.
They said that because I was a customer with that insurance company for so long, they have something for me. So they
Oh.
wanted me to send some information to them to verify. So of course, I'm always thinking about scams. So I
Mhm.
called the insurance company. They said,
Mhm.
no, that is definitely not us.
Wow.
They just want to get your contact, your information.
Yeah.
Once you get that information, then they can go.
Yep. They're trying every avenue, and you just have to be prepared, and so prepared, and you can't trust anybody. You have to just assume everything is scam
Yeah.
because they're using anything now to do it. We have a couple of things in the chat I'm going to get to.
Okay.
Somebody says the court or sheriff's office will not call you for jury duty or a warrant asking for money.
Wow.
So be mindful of that.
That's a good one.
Somebody wants to know what I purchased. So in cryptocurrency, I have Dogecoin. Of course, I have Bitcoin, the big dog. I have Ethereum, Dogecoin, Bonk, Floki. If that's somebody at church, we could talk tomorrow, whoever that is. I don't know. It's just an iPhone. But definitely get Dogecoin because Elon Musk is gonna make Dogecoin rise. And I think a lot of activity is gonna happen around the inauguration. I think that's when this hype is gonna come again. So right now, Dogecoin is like 20 cents. So, put some money in it and see what you get back. Oh, that's Zandra. Okay, Zandra. Yep, I'll put it in the chat.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, please I'm not a financial advisor. This is just what I'm doing.
Oh,
Be
hey
clear,
guys, I was
right?
gonna say I have an experience to share.
Yes.
Go ahead.
This morning. So with the another thing that people are doing is like they're hacking company emails. And so with the company emails, what they're doing is they're sending it out. And so I work in HR and I've gotten emails that are like, hey, and they would look like they're coming from like the company's president or the company's CEO saying that, oh, we're trying to process payroll this week and we need the accounting and bank numbers, or it'll come from a random employee that's like, oh, my account got hacked. And so I need to update my account and routing numbers. So they're very crafty, even in the corporate world, trying to get information too.
Oh, yes.
That is so true,
Mhm.
Tiffany, and it happens more than we think. And that's why we not only have to be vigilant in our personal, we have to be vigilant at work because that happens a lot. And some companies will even they realize that fraud is a big thing, and what they'll do is they'll even send out fraudulent emails to test their employees.
Yeah.
To see if they click on anything, or if they report it as a phishing scam.
Yes.
You're right.
So some companies do that, but yes, we definitely that does happen, and I know of a few people where that's happened to. They're asking you for something. They're asking you for account numbers, or they're asking you for money somehow. It could be
Mhm.
anything, but that is a good one to watch out for.
Mhm. And actually, we had something similar, not exactly like that, Tiffany, something similar where we had to change because everybody gets paid direct deposit. So we have something at work we call a Dayforce wallet. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ceridian Dayforce, but it's a huge platform that manages, payroll, and they have this Dayforce wallet where the employees can get paid daily. So if you work that day 8 hours, at the end of your shift, once you clock out, you're able to go in and get an advance on the money, the hours you've already worked. And so we had a couple of people that had some money stolen from them. So the company had to kind of revise the whole Dayforce wallet and the whole Dayforce process. And then what they ended up doing was using the multi-factor authentication for everybody. Now, when you log in, you have to use that two-factor authentication to ensure that's who you were. Because, you have so many transactions a day so imagine you have like over 10,000 employees and, half of them are trying to take money out every day, after a shift. So it kind of got crazy. People got money stolen. So now you have to use a two-factor authenticator just to make sure it's you before you take your money out. So they're using every platform. They're trying to attack everything that they can in order to be able to, these scammers, that's what they're doing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that's basically all that we had. This slide just shows our contact where if you have any more questions or any thoughts for classes that you'd like to see in the future, please email us at legacyprogram227@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and like us. That will allow you to see any classes that we post in the future. And our classes are recorded. So if you subscribe to our YouTube page, My Legacy Program, you can see all of the classes that we've had previously, and this one will be posted as well.
Hello, hello.
Go ahead.
Quick question. Every time I try to order something online and want to pay for it with my credit card, PayPal comes up and I lose the communication. Yeah, and I don't want PayPal.
So they normally would offer other platforms of payment as well. Like they would say if you have a credit card, enter a credit card. Normally PayPal shouldn't be your only choice unless it's with that specific company.
Well, that's I don't have PayPal, but it always come up and cancel out my credit card. So I usually end up declining to buy whatever I'm buying because they try to make me pay with PayPal.
So not unless that's the only method that that company can accept payment, it should have other options for you to click on in order to make that payment. But if you don't see any other options, then that may be the only way that they can accept payment. I don't know what type of company it is. Most companies, there are multiple ways you can pay for items. But if
Can you give us an example of a site, a particular site?
No, I don't have that in front of me because like I'm saying, I just don't really buy anything offline anymore because of that frustrates me.
right.
Yeah, because that would be
Yeah,
frustrating.
there are some, like I've experienced that too. Like there's a few companies I know, like some of the food places you order food from, like some of them force you to only use one mode of paying via, and I know one, I can't remember which food place it is, but one of them force you to just use PayPal for transactions. So
Wow.
But we can definitely look at it tomorrow if you would like.
I
Is
just
that
have
Uncle
one
Rudy?
more.
Go ahead.
I was just asking if that was Uncle Rudy, like you said, I was gonna tell him to pray.
Yeah.
If he wanted to try it tomorrow, we can look at it at church, after church.
I just have one quick question. With the new debit card, so with the new debit card, they, of course, our numbers are printed boldly on the back now. You know, expiration dates and the CVCs, they're all like boldly printed on the back. would kind of print, kind of etched into the card. The silver would kind of go off. Is there an opportunity or is there an offering in the banking world to have card printed like maybe the old way? Just because like if I'm standing in line and I happen to have my card out and I'm not cognizant of the fact that there's somebody standing behind me, they can literally write down all of the information off the back of my card and not even try that hard.
And Tiffany, I don't believe there's a way, and Yvonne can help with that too, but I don't believe there's a way. If they're printing it with the numbers on the back, I don't believe there's a way for them to print cards up front, or the card number on the front, specifically because sometimes they have it set up to where that's the way, the system prints it.
Okay.
And Yvonne, you can help with that if you know.
You're correct, Teresa. That's how it used to be on the front, but now that is how it is for whatever reason. It's on the back. And just to go a little bit further, of course, it's just up to us to do whatever we can to protect our card number and this kind of thing, because at the end of the day, if you notice, you can go everywhere now and swipe your card. They don't ask nobody for no ID. They don't ask you nothing. So we just have to be, I say, keep it in your bosom, whatever you got to do. Don't have it willy-nilly, because there are folks, that's what they do. And they know ain't nobody going to ask for no ID. I can just swipe and go. And that's the world we're living in now.
Yeah, because I just saw that and I was like, I remember when they started printing it that way, I was like, I don't necessarily want it boldly printed on the back, because if you just happen to lay it down for a second, somebody can write down all the information, have it. Whereas
Or take a
before, it
picture
kind
of
of rubbed off. Exactly. And how do you guys, and my last question, I'm going to hush you. So how do you guys feel about like the digital wallet? Do you feel like they're secure for the banking side, or because I'm starting to use Google Pay a little bit, and I'm just I was always nervous about it, and then I'm like, okay, is this convenient? Is it really as safe as it seems?
I haven't heard any issues from using digital wallet. I know I have one as well. I use it, like I add cards to it when I travel, especially out of the country. I'll use it there. I haven't heard of any type of fraudulent situations out there about digital wallet, but that doesn't mean it's not, susceptible to fraud. So we still have to be vigilant in whatever we're using in order to, protect ourselves and make sure that we avoid fraudulent situations.
I have like from my credit union a prepaid card. So like when I pay gas, when I'm pumping gas and I want to pay for it, I just only put the amount that I'm pumping quickly on that card. So if someone try to get anything, they won't be getting anything because normally that card is zero until I make a purchase.
Oh, wow.
Good idea.
Great idea. Great idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. We have a couple of comments in the chat. Excellent information. Thank you all for taking the time to educate us. And another one says, thank you for the wealth of information. Great job, ladies. Does anybody else have any other questions or would like to share anything else with us that we need to be aware of?
Nope, just want to tell y'all thank you for listening. We are all in this together.
Yes.
And the smallest little things that we can do to help each other, and information is power.
It
We
is.
just listen.
Yep.
So we thank you for listening.
Yes, and I just want to say that please share this information with your family members and friends, because like Yvonne said in the beginning, it's not just the elderly that's having these fraudulent situations. It's everybody of any age that is susceptible to fraud. So just because it's a young person, that don't mean they're going to catch everything.
That's right.
That's why it's extremely, extremely important to just try to let your family members and friends know, how to protect themselves from fraud, because it can happen to anyone, and it's happening so much more as each year goes on. They're getting better and better at it. They're getting more technology. to make things look real. So we really just got to look out for each other.
Exactly right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, Apostle, do you have any thoughts? know
I
you don't know.
just would like to thank you guys also for a job well done. I mean, information like this, I mean, who would say what you should pay for this? You know, and because you ladies just coming out and just doing this and it's coming from your heart and you really mean what you're saying, I thank you guys so much. I appreciate all that I've heard. And you know, it's like I think one of you had mentioned before in reference to, you know, when you hear about things and it sounds like it can't be, it's not real. And when if it sounds like it's not real, most of the time it's not. So just be careful with the information that you make, information that you get, so that you can share it with others, because it is so important. You know, and one of the things you mentioned before, and I kind of mentioned, check your accounts as often as possible. One of you mentioned about, you know, when these people get to information, they may not take it all at one time. They may start with taking 50 cents. And if you're checking your statements, who's going to check to see what that 50 cent was? But what if they have 1,000 people they're taking 50 cents from every month? They're making money, you know, so don't let it be you. Just make sure you check those statements, make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And I hope, I guess I'm old school. I'm always checking my statements. I check it off with my bank book and everything. But, you know, hey, I'm at an age where I can't start over. So I got to protect what we have.
Yeah.
So thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Ms. Sybil. Thank you, Teresa. You guys have done a great job. Proud of y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I think something else came in the chat. Let me check. So, yes, it says, right. I had one that paid a $25 Bed Bath and Beyond transition. I'm not sure what that means.
Yes.
Yes, Bed and Bath site is another one that
Okay.
be mindful of. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So-
And let me just add one quick more thing to what Apostle said. You're not just checking your statements in your bank account for fraud. You're looking to see also what is the bank and the credit union doing? Is there a new fee that they started that maybe you didn't know about? The people who had the most money in their account, they were the ones calling in asking, why is this $5 fee on
Yeah.
my? They can have 6 figures in their account. They are calling about the $5 fee that Bank of the Credit Union is charging them. They don't want it. So you're not just checking for fraud, you're checking to make sure that bank and that credit union is depositing your money and your withdrawals are being made accordingly. So
Wow. Before I leave, I'm gonna share one thing with you all about what happened to my husband this week. So, of course, I check our accounts every day. And I realized, and I started asking him, what's this charge? What's this charge? So he wasn't quite sure. So he went to the bank and, you know, he checked on it. So apparently, one of his subcontractors, when they had done some work previously, the company still had, of course, his banking information. And so the subcontractor is working for himself and doing some of the job, and they automatically just charged it to my husband's account. And so they reversed the fees and everything, but it's just, again, it's another example as to why we need to keep checking our accounts regularly. It was a mistake, but there was no intent of fraud there, but it was a mistake. And if we didn't check it, it wouldn't have been caught.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Can I have
there
one more
was-
point before? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say one more thing. So, and I actually saw this the other day. So with it just kind of being mindful. I know on Facebook and social media and stuff, and I know Uncle Rudy mentioned about buying some stuff. So like on Facebook and stuff, they'll throw a lot of ads where you can purchase things, and you know there are these deals and sales and all of these things. But pay close attention to the URL links that are there, because it's like this fake t-shirt company. And the thing is, like, the original ad popped up for me at one point, and I was like, oh, this seems pretty cool. And I was getting ready to buy something, and I was like, oh, I'll come back and get it later. Well, another ad popped up that looked like it was from the same exact company, but the website was different. So Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of those things, make sure to pay attention to the web link that is taking you to. Because, for example, there was one for Lane Bryant one time, and it was like, oh, all these shirts are like $2.99 and, you know, whatever else. And it looked like it was Lane Bryant. Clicked on the link, you click on the name, it took you to Lane Bryant. But if you clicked on the link took you to some random page, and you can also read the comments to see if people are actually purchasing from the company and getting their stuff. Because usually people will talk and tell you kind of what it is too. So just another little nugget to look for.
Oh,
Wow,
Good point.
great information, yes. Well, is there anybody else before we get ready to get out of here? This is all good stuff, and I'm not rushing anybody because if somebody can learn from, we're learning from each other. We're increasing our awareness of what could happen. So that's a good thing. Is there anything else or anybody else would like to put anything in the chat? If they don't want to speak, please feel free to do so. We're right at the 1 hour mark, which is typically how long these classes last. So if there's anything else that you need to say, please do so. Anybody? Okay, well, thank you guys once again for tuning in and supporting us in these classes. Again, we want to be able to make sure that our mission with Legacy is to teach financial literacy, is to make sure that we are getting information out there to help people build great financial healthy habits. And we want to be able to make sure that our community continues to grow and that we're able to achieve the things that we need to achieve through all of the opportunities that may be out there for us. And so we are having these classes again once per quarter. This was our last class for 2024, and we will start again in 2025. As Ms. Theresa mentioned earlier, if there are any questions, any specific areas that you would like to have us do next year, please put it in the chat. I would love to get some more information on investing. I know we had a great apostle had a friend of his own that came one time when we did the hybrid, where we were actually at Abiding Word Family Building as well as Zoom. So I think investing would be definitely something else that we can revisit. And
Great.
if there, yeah, I can't remember his name.
Oh, we'll do it. I spoke with him about it maybe a couple of weeks ago about that again.
Okay, good.
You will be seeing that in 2025.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So any other ideas, anything else that you guys would like to hear us talk about, or you would like to see us to be able to get the professionals in there, please, again, put it in the chat. Our goal is to make sure that we are improving our financial literacy. And we do that to bringing you guys these classes. We want you to be able to share, get more people in here. We don't want people waiting until it's time for them to make a major purchase, and then they're scrambling and they're working on the anxiety to find that information. We want to be able to get these classes out now so people can plan properly. If they're going to invest, plan. If they're going to purchase a house, plan. Whatever it is that they're going to do, make a major purchase. At least they've already had the information, and they can go back on the website and look at these classes and then and listen to them again and get the information that they need to be successful. So again, thank you all so much for supporting the Legacy program. Thank you, Ms. Theresa, Ms. Yvonne. Awesome job today, awesome information. And I know we see you guys at church, and we have any other questions, we can always ask you. But thank you, we cannot thank you enough for taking the time to share this wealth of information with us today. We appreciate you guys so much. Apostle, thank you for the vision that God has placed in you for us to be able to have this Legacy program, because we want people, especially our community, to be able to build financial habits. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And if nothing else, God bless you all, and I'll see you all in church tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. sharp.